Have you ever noticed how some people seem to glow with energy and positivity, even well into their 70s and 80s? You meet them at the grocery store or see them walking their dogs, and you think, wow, I hope I'm like that when I'm older. Meanwhile, maybe you've been waking up a little stiffer than usual, or your mood dips for no reason, or you just feel a bit stuck. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Aging can bring a lot of beautiful experiences, but it can also sneak in a few things that quietly steal our joy and energy if we're not paying attention. And here's the good news. Some of those things are totally within our control. In fact, studies suggest that simple, intentional changes in our daily habits can make a world of difference in how we feel as we age. One fascinating study out of Harvard found that people who made small, positive adjustments in their 70s dramatically lowered their risk of heart disease, boosted their energy, and improved their emotional well-being. It wasn't about chasing youth or extreme routines. It was about letting go of certain things and welcoming in habits that nourish both body and mind. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. In this video, we're diving into 7 things you should consider removing from your life after 70. And trust me, by the time we get to the last one, you'll see just how powerful these small shifts can be. It might be the one thing you never realized was holding you back. Now, before we jump in, let me be clear. This video is for informational purposes only. It's based on publicly available research and personal experiences. Everyone's health is unique, and it's always a good idea to check with your doctor or healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or routine. Science is always evolving, and what works beautifully for one person might not be the right fit for another. Alright, now that we've got that covered, let's get started. Let's begin with something you might not expect: negative self-talk. You know those little voices in your head that whisper things like, "You're too old for this," or "It's too late to change." Believe it or not, those thoughts don't just stay in your mind. They affect your body too. Studies have shown that people who maintain a positive attitude about aging live, on average, 7.5 years longer than those who don't. Can you believe that? A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals with a brighter outlook on aging experienced less stress, better heart health, and stronger immune systems. I remember meeting a woman named Joan at a community center a few years back. She was 74 at the time and had just taken up watercolor painting, something she'd always wanted to try but thought she was too old to start. When she finally pushed those negative thoughts aside, she didn't just discover a new hobby. She made new friends, boosted her confidence, and said she hadn't felt so lighthearted in years. So the first thing I want you to remove is that old belief that aging means decline. Instead, start telling yourself, "I'm still learning, growing, and capable of joy." Now, moving on to another sneaky happiness stealer: clutter. Yep, clutter. Not just the kind in your closet or garage, but the mental clutter too. The endless to-do lists, the stack of old magazines you'll never read, the guilt over hobbies you never finished. It all adds up and quietly weighs you down. Researchers from UCLA's Center on Everyday Lives and Families found that the more clutter in a home, the higher the level of stress hormones in its residents, especially women. But this applies to everyone. The beautiful thing is, you don't need to Marie Kondo your entire life overnight. Start small. Pick one drawer, one shelf, or even one old commitment that no longer brings you joy. When you let go of what you don't need, you make space, physically and mentally, for what truly matters. A clearer home leads to a clearer mind. And that calm, uncluttered environment, it actually helps lower blood pressure and improve sleep. And speaking of sleep, let's talk about something else you might want to remove: overstimulation before bedtime. You know those nights when you check your phone one last time, and suddenly you've been scrolling for 30 minutes, reading about things you didn't even care about to begin with? Screens, especially at night, emit a type of blue light that interferes with your body's production of melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. A study from the University of Toronto found that people exposed to blue light in the evening produce significantly less melatonin, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. And when we're not sleeping well, everything else, our mood, energy, memory, takes a hit. So if you can start removing that habit of late-night scrolling, replace it with a warm cup of herbal tea, a gentle stretch, or even jotting down 3 good things that happened during the day. It's such a simple switch, but it signals your body that it's time to wind down. Better sleep means better mornings, clearer thinking, and steadier moods. And while these first changes can already make a noticeable difference, there's more you can do. Small daily actions that can transform how you age from the inside out. Now, I know what you might be thinking. At my age, is it really worth it to start making these changes? And my answer is absolutely yes. It's never too late to take back a little control over your health and happiness. Even the smallest shift in your daily habits can spark a ripple effect through your entire life. In fact, researchers at the University of Illinois discovered something fascinating. Older adults who started doing just a few sessions of moderate aerobic exercise per week experienced noticeable improvements in memory, attention, and mental sharpness. And we're not talking about running marathons or intense gym classes. Simple, gentle activities like walking, dancing, or water aerobics made a measurable difference. But let's be honest, the biggest hurdle isn't physical. It's mental. It's that little voice that says, "I'm too tired, too stiff, or too busy." But here's the truth. You don't need an hour a day. You don't need a fancy gym membership. Even 10 minutes of light movement, a stroll around your living room during commercial breaks, gentle stretching while the kettle boils, can boost circulation, ease joint stiffness, and improve your mood. I once knew a gentleman named George who started walking laps around his apartment complex after dinner. Just 5 minutes at first, then 10, then 20. Within a few months, his balance improved, his blood pressure dropped, and his nightly walks turned into the highlight of his day. It wasn't about fitness, it was about feeling alive again. And of course, what we do with our bodies is only one part of the story. What we feed them matters just as much, maybe even more. That's why the next thing you might want to start removing is processed, sugary foods. I know, nobody wants to give up their favorite treats. And you don't have to completely. But reducing how often you reach for those pre-packaged snacks, pastries, and sugary drinks can have a huge impact on your energy, memory, and mood. A study from the National Institute on Aging found that diets high in processed sugar can contribute to chronic inflammation in the body. And inflammation has been linked to everything from arthritis and heart disease to cognitive decline. The same study suggested that older adults who followed a Mediterranean-style diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats, had a significantly lower risk of memory loss and depression. The beauty of this is that you don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start by swapping one sugary snack for a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts. Replace soda with sparkling water infused with lemon or berries. Little by little, you'll notice you have more stable energy, clearer thinking, and fewer mood swings. Now here's something else you might not have thought about: excessive sitting. It seems harmless, right? But prolonged sitting, especially without breaks, can lead to a host of issues, from poor circulation and muscle stiffness to increased risk of heart problems. And unfortunately, it becomes easier to fall into this habit as we get older, especially if mobility decreases or the weather keeps us indoors. The American Heart Association warns that too much sitting, even for people who exercise regularly, can still increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. But the fix is refreshingly simple. Every 30 to 60 minutes, make it a point to get up and move around, even if it's just a lap around your living room or a gentle stretch. Set a timer or use your favorite TV show as a reminder. Your joints, muscles, and heart will thank you. I remember visiting my Aunt Lucy, who was 78 at the time. She had this little routine where she'd get up during every commercial break of her favorite soap opera and march in place or fold a load of laundry. It wasn't much, but over time, she felt less stiff and slept better at night. And while we're on the topic of lifestyle tweaks, let's talk about another thing worth removing: toxic relationships. Now, this one can be tricky because over a lifetime, we gather a lot of connections. Some are wonderful and uplifting, while others not so much. Maybe it's an old friend who constantly complains, a family member who stirs up drama, or a neighbor who leaves you feeling drained after every conversation. Multiple studies have shown that strong, supportive social ties are one of the most important factors in healthy aging. In fact, research from Brigham Young University found that people with meaningful social relationships live an average of 7 years longer than those without. But here's the catch: those connections need to be positive. Negative, stressful relationships can actually weaken your immune system, increase blood pressure, and raise your risk of depression. That doesn't mean you need to cut people out harshly. Sometimes it's as simple as setting boundaries, limiting the time you spend with draining individuals, or choosing to prioritize the relationships that truly bring you joy. A lovely woman named Doreen, whom I met at a senior wellness class, shared how she gently distanced herself from a longtime friend who always left her feeling anxious. It wasn't easy at first, but after focusing on the people who made her laugh and lifted her spirits, she said her mood improved and she started looking forward to her days again. So now that you've seen how movement, food, and relationships can be powerful tools for healthy, joyful aging, let's take a look at something just as vital: how to stay motivated and emotionally strong, even when life throws those inevitable curveballs your way. If you've made it this far, you're already proving something important to yourself, that you care about your health, your happiness, and how you experience the years ahead. And if you're enjoying this so far and want more simple, science-backed tips to stay healthy as you age, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We share helpful videos like this every single week, designed especially with you in mind. Now let's dive into one of the most overlooked things you might need to remove to truly feel lighter, happier, and stronger as the years go by: the fear of starting something new. It's something I hear all the time. I'm too old for that. Or, at my age, what's the point? But here's the beautiful thing about life after 70. You're free to write your own rules. And it turns out trying new things, even simple, everyday activities, can literally rewire your brain, improve your mood, and protect your memory. There's a wonderful study from the University of Texas at Dallas that found older adults who engaged in new, challenging activities, like digital photography or learning a new language, experienced measurable improvements in memory and processing speed after just a few months. It wasn't about being perfect, it was about being engaged. I once met a man named Paul at a community center fitness class. He was 72 and had never lifted a dumbbell in his life. But he was tired of feeling weak and unsteady, so he gave it a shot. Within a few months, Paul noticed he had more energy, less back pain, and was sleeping better at night. He told me, "I feel like I turned the clock back 10 years. And that brings us to another essential thing worth removing: chronic negativity. Look, we all have tough days. Moments when the aches, the losses, or the frustrations feel heavier than usual. That's human. But when negative thoughts become your constant companion, it starts to wear down not just your spirit, but your body too. Researchers from Johns Hopkins University discovered that people with a positive outlook had a 33% lower risk of heart disease and a stronger immune system. Optimism isn't just about feeling good. It's about creating a physiological environment in your body that supports healing, energy, and resilience. That doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It means practicing gratitude, looking for small joys, and shifting your focus toward what's still possible rather than what's no longer within reach. One simple practice you might try is writing down 3 things you're grateful for each evening before bed. They don't have to be big things: a good cup of tea, a phone call with a grandchild, a beautiful sunset. Over time, this tiny habit can train your brain to notice more of the good around you. Another big one you might not expect is excessive clutter. Now, I don't just mean stacks of old newspapers or closets packed with clothes from 30 years ago, though clearing those out can be wonderfully freeing too. I'm talking about mental and emotional clutter. The unfinished projects, the old regrets, the conversations you replay in your head, wishing you'd said something different. These things weigh on us, and the older we get, the heavier they seem to feel. I remember helping my friend Carol clean out her spare room one weekend. It was filled with boxes of things she hadn't touched in decades: letters, broken appliances, bits and pieces of old hobbies. As we cleared each shelf, she started sharing stories, letting go of old frustrations, and forgiving herself for mistakes she'd been carrying for years. By the end of the afternoon, she looked lighter, both physically and emotionally. And you don't have to tackle it all at once. Maybe pick one small area, a drawer, a shelf, a memory you're ready to release, and start there. It's amazing how a little clearing, inside and out, can open up space for new energy and peace. Lastly, one of the most powerful habits to nurture after 70 is staying connected. I cannot emphasize this enough. Human connection is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And as we age, it can be surprisingly easy to let those connections fade, whether it's because of distance, health challenges, or shifting social circles. But here's what the science tells us. People who maintain strong social ties live longer, experience less depression, and report better overall health. In fact, a study published in PLOS Medicine revealed that social isolation carries the same health risks as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The good news is, connection comes in many forms. It could be a phone call, a video chat, a letter, or a brief conversation with the cashier at the grocery store. It's about quality, not quantity. The warmth of a sincere interaction can do more for your heart and mind than hours of mindless scrolling on a screen. I once heard from a subscriber named Marie, who started hosting tea afternoons for her neighbors after feeling isolated during the pandemic. Just once a month, simple snacks and conversation. She told me those afternoons became the highlight of her month and gave her something to look forward to on even the dreariest days. Now that you have these tools in your corner, from movement to mindset to relationships, it's time to bring it all together with one final message you won't want to miss. Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to one simple but powerful truth. We've covered a lot together today, and if you've stuck with me until now, I want you to take a moment to appreciate yourself. Because the fact that you're here, seeking ways to feel better, live better, and age with intention, that matters. It shows heart, courage, and wisdom. At the core of everything we've talked about, it really boils down to this. Aging well isn't about chasing youth. It's about creating strength, energy, and clarity with the choices you make every single day. And what's beautiful is that it's never too late. No matter how many candles are on your birthday cake, today is a good day to begin. Now let's gently go back over what we explored together. Not to be repetitive, but to remind you just how doable these changes really are. First, we talked about removing the physical clutter from your environment and your life. Those things you've held on to just in case, the broken appliances, the unworn clothes, the regrets gathering dust in the corners of your mind. Clearing them away makes room for peace, energy, and the freedom to move through your days with ease. I've seen it with friends, clients, and in my own home. That one small action, tackling a single drawer or letting go of an old grudge, can create an unexpected lightness. We also addressed the importance of letting go of chronic negativity. Because yes, aches and changes are part of aging, but so is wisdom, resilience, and joy. Choosing to focus on what's still good, what's still possible, and what's still within your power can transform your outlook in ways that ripple through your physical health too. The science backs it up. Positive thinkers live longer, heal faster, and report greater satisfaction with their lives. Then there was the big one, letting go of the fear of starting new things. Whether it's a hobby, a fitness routine, a new friendship, or a creative project, that sense of curiosity and engagement is vital. Remember Paul, who picked up weights at 72, and Carol, who cleared her spare room and released years of old burdens. Their stories aren't rare exceptions. They're reminders that life doesn't stop offering opportunities, even if we sometimes stop reaching for them. And of course, we can't forget about connection. Staying emotionally close to others is as important as eating well or getting enough sleep. Those conversations, shared laughs, and moments of kindness matter more than you might realize. I know a woman named Alice who joined an online book club at 75. She didn't care much for technology, but was lonely after moving to a new city. Now, every Wednesday evening, she logs in with a cup of tea, ready to chat about characters and life with people she's never met in person. She says it's become the highlight of her week. It's those simple, human moments that nourish our hearts. And let's not forget what we said earlier about the power of gentle movement, nourishing food, and prioritizing rest. Aging gracefully isn't about running marathons or following strict diets. It's about listening to your body, giving it what it needs, and celebrating what it can still do. There's a wonderful quote I love that goes, "You don't stop dancing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop dancing." And that dance can be literal or figurative. It might be a morning stretch, tending to your plants, taking a stroll around the block, or trying a new recipe. It's about staying engaged in the rhythm of your own life. And here's something else worth remembering. Aging doesn't mean losing your health. It means taking charge of it in a smarter, more empowered way. The old myth that getting older automatically means decline is just that, a myth. And today, more than ever, science is proving it. For instance, research from the National Institute on Aging continues to show that simple lifestyle adjustments can dramatically lower your risk of chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and dementia. Dr. Michael Greger and other wellness experts remind us that what we eat, how we move, and how we think can either speed up or slow down the aging process. The control is largely in your hands. And while no one can promise you a life without challenges, what we can promise is that the small things you do today, tomorrow, and the next day, they stack up. They create momentum. They build resilience. And those moments of effort, however modest, matter. So if there's one message I'd love for you to take from this video, it's this. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just start with one small change. One evening where you turn off the TV and call an old friend. One short walk around the garden. One extra glass of water. One cluttered drawer cleared. These moments might seem ordinary, but together, they build a life that feels lighter, brighter, and more meaningful. Now, before you go, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future topics or questions you'd like answered in our next videos, drop them in the comments below. Your voice matters here, and you might just inspire our next conversation. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on more practical, uplifting tips for healthy, happy aging. We have so many wonderful stories, science-backed strategies, and easy wellness tips to share with you in the coming weeks. Here's to living your best life at any age. Because while none of us can control the years we get, we absolutely get to decide how we spend them. And I, for one, hope you spend them dancing, laughing, loving, and embracing the beautiful life you've built. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next video.